everyone. I am Gino Malimban, leader of the Group 4. Will start for introduction of our report. The moral life is development in our decision and action. Through this infographic, we will be considering the fact that developing virtue is a habit, so that women are not virtues but can also be cultivated through hard work. It includes important factors that shapes moral characters like education, ethics, early influences, and social interaction, which consider or contribute to our cut across the shaping of the individual understanding of right and wrong. So, intended learning outcomes. At the end of this module, you should able to know number one, explain why universal values are necessary for human survival. Number two, explain the significant relationship between individual acts and character. Number three, identify the articulate each stage moral. Also, despite that actions build characters, values, action, habits, and reflection. Socialization and all work together to further develop moral or development. Moral is not one time thing but an ongoing process that requires awareness, discipline, and open mindedness. With various experience and perspective. It starts with the pre-conventional level, a stage of moral development, that is primarily based on the consequences behavior brings to the individual. Goes on the conventional level, which tends to regard behavioral responses as a conforming more or less to norms or expectation of society, and ends at and ends at the post-conventional level, where personal principles and ethical reasoning guide the decision-making. Knowledge of this stage can direct our observation how how individuals have changed in the moral thinking, and they will develop with time. By understanding with this infographic, we want to understand much deeper how virtue are formed, the importance of the ethical decision, and the role of personal and societal influences in moral development. This discussion will n- enable the appreciation of the values of good habit and strong moral characters, but personal and professionally. So, may I call Charles Dakitan for our first topic.
Now I am presenting the first topic, which is development of moral character. Firstly, what is development of a moral character? In literature, the definition of development of a moral character, or in generally, character development, is how the reader can observe the character changing step by step throughout the narrative. They can they can identify development by noticing how the character's traits change as the story progresses. Now, firstly, we have the first branch of character development, which is early influences. Can you show the ano? Firstly, early influences. The stability of a child's early life has profound effects on physical and mental health. st- um, and unstable parent-child relationships, as well as abuse, can lead to a behavioral disorders and stress, socioeconomic status, relationships with parents and childhood friends, and access to early education programs. Secondly, education and ethics. Education and ethics. The character education helps students develop strong moral values such as honesty, responsibility, cooperation, and tolerance. Next is cultivation of virtues. Cultivation of virtues. It can be taken to mean to take responsibility for one's being. The one the word responsibility can be broken down into ability and response. It is our ability to respond to our being. Quote unquote being here and now in the manifest world as an individual expression of the whole. Now, as part of the development of a moral character, we need to self-reflect. As part of the development of a moral character, we need to self-reflect. The question is how to self-reflect first. For example, we need we can journal. We can take journal or journaling, talking with friends, practicing mindfulness, creative expression, and spending time alone. And also, what are the benefits of self-reflecting? Firstly, better it improves better decision making. When we understand our motivations and values, we can make our choices that align with our true goals. Secondly, improved relationships. Self-reflection helps us better sa, helps us better understand how we interact with others and identify areas where we can improve our communication and interpersonal skills. Lastly, stress management. By processing experiences and emotions through reflection, we can better manage stress and navigate challenging situations. Next is social and cultural influences. Social cultural influences refer to the impact that social factors such as cultural norms, societal expectations, and interpersonal relationships have on individual behavior. These these influences shape our thoughts, beliefs, attitudes, and actions. Of course, as we grow up, next please. Next part. Of course, as we grow up, we struggle from challenges and adversities. But what are the purposes of this? The purpose of challenges and adversities in life is to foster personal growth and development by pushing individuals out of their comfort zones, enabling them to learn new skills, discover their strengths, build resilience, and adapt to overcome obstacles, ultimately leading to a deeper understanding of oneself and increase mental toughness. And now lastly, community and role models also affect a person's growth. How come? First, a community refers to the social environment and group dynamics that a character interacts with, which significantly shapes their personality, values, and behaviors, essentially acting as a catalyst for their growth and evolution throughout their story. And a role model. What is a role model? A role model is someone others look to as a good example or the one who inspire people. A role model is someone who is worthy of imitation. That's all, and now let's go to the next topic, which is the circular relations of acts that build character and will be presented by Aguas.
So, for the next topic, we have circular relations of acts that build character, or in simple words, we have the character loop. This character loop is a continuous cycle that shapes and strengthens a person's character over time. This loop and consists of actions, values, reflections, habits, socialization, and challenges, all of which influences each other in a repeating cycle. Let's break it down further with examples to better understand how each stage contributes to character development. For the first phase, we have the action. Every action we take influences who we are. Each action can be as simple as helping a friend, telling the truth, or working hard on a task. Each action reinforces certain values within us. For the next phase, we have the values. It is the foundation of our character. So these values, if repeated, repeated actions shape our values, which serve as our moral compass. As we consistently engage in ethical behavior, we internalize values like honesty, kindness, and perseverance. For the third one, we have the reflections. It is about learning and improving. Reflection allows us to analyze our actions and understand their impact. It helps us identify mistakes, learn from them, and adjust our behaviors to align with our values. For the fourth one, we have our habits. Through repetition, values become habits. When we regularly act according to our moral beliefs, ethical behaviors become instinctive rather than deliberate choices. For the fifth one, we have socialization, or the way we engage with others. This this trait will strengthen our character through communicating with one another. Our interactions with people provide feedback and influence our development. Positive interactions reinforce good habits, which facing differing perspective challenges us to refine our beliefs. For the last one, we have challenges. It is the center of our character. Difficulties and setbacks test our character. Overcoming them reinforces resilience and solidifies our values, allowing us to grow stronger. So, after overcoming challenges, new actions emerge based on the lessons learned. The student might now mentor younger students, reinforcing their values further. This continuous loop ensures character development as an ongoing process. So that's it for my topic, and the next one will be presented by JM Madula.
And now, let's tackle the stages of moral development. The stages of moral development describe how our understanding of right and wrong evolves over time. Think of it as a journey where we learn to navigate the complexities of ethics and make responsible choices. There are three levels of development. The first one is the pre-conventional level. Pre-conventional level is externally regulated. People conform to rules set by people in authority to avoid punishment or to earn rewards. These views take on a notion that right is whatever you can get away or feel about it. Pre-conventional level have two stages. The first one is punishments, obedience, orientation. The consequences dictates behavior of the person will comply to escape pain. The second stage is the instrumental purposes orientation. The consequences determines the behavior once more. This is person who is oriented around or reward or satisfying their needs. Here are some examples of pre-conventional level. The first one is a child takes a cookie from the cookie jar because they want it. Even though they know it is wrong, the child reasoning is based on avoiding punishment. If I don't get cut, it's okay. Another example is a teenager lies to their parents about their whereabouts because they don't want to get in trouble. This is focused on personal gain and avoiding negative consequences. Number three, a student cheat on a test because they want a good grade, regardless of the rules. The focus is on personal benefit, not on the fairness or ethical implication of cheating. The second level is the second level is the conventional level or adolescence adulthood. At, at this stage, people start to develop their own moral codes, internalizing the rules of adult roles model. No questioning of these norms and rules is done during. Here are some examples of conventional level. A young adult follows the speed limit because they know it is the law. They understand the laws are necessary for societal order and that breaking them has consequences. Another example is a coworker help out a college who is struggling with a project because they believe it's the right thing to do. Their reasoning is based on social expectation and sense of duty to be a good teammate. Another example is a teenager volunteers at a local soup kitchen because they believe it's important to help those less fortunate. They are motivated by a desire to contribute to society and uphold the values of compassion and fairness. The third level is the post-conventional level or principled level consists of the increasing awareness that the self is independent from society and that the view of the self may be more powerful than society. One may not obey rules that do not align with one's own principle. Here are some examples of post-conventional. A journalist risks their career by exposing a government corruption scandal even though it could be lead to legal repercussions. They believe that upholding truth and justice is more important than personal gain or societal pressure. Another example, a doctor refuses to participate in a medical procedure that they believe it is unethical even though it is legal and could benefit the patient. They are guided by their own personal moral principles and they are willing to act on them, even if it means going against the norm. Another example is an activist in participating in a peaceful protest against a discriminatory law. Even though they know they could be arrested, they believe that upholding human rights and fighting for social justice is a moral imperative even if it comes at personal cost. That are the three levels of the development. Criticism is the building of judgment, whether negative or positive, of somebody or something. The criticism can be an off-the-cuff remark or written detailed response. Criticism fall into various overlapping categories such as theoretical. Also, limitation is often referred to, however, is a limit or constraint, which prevents to act to being performed or performed in its entire potential. It is a limit or point beyond which is something can't go. The another type of cognitive development is based on the theory of John Piaget. The first stage is the sensory-motor, which is ages from the birth to 2 years old, defined as the period when infants start to think by means of their senses and motors action. Learning through senses and action, infants explore the world by using their senses, like seeing and touching, and action like sucking and grasping. Objects' permanence, they begin to understand that objects continue to exist even when they can see or hear them. The second stage is preparational, the ages between 2 to 7 years old. Children use their new ability to represent objects in a wide variety of activities, but they do not yet do it in the ways that are organized or fully logical. In this stage, children start to use words and images to represent objects but may not understand logical reasoning. They often have difficulty seeing things from many perspectives other than their own. The third level is the concrete operational stage, ages from 7 to 11 years old. They become able to represent ideas and events more flexibility and logically. They allow children to solve problems more systematically than before, and therefore to be successful with many academic tasks. Children begin to think logically about concrete events. Understanding conservation, they grasp the certain properties of objects like volume or number remains the same despite changes in the object's form. The fourth stage is the formal operation, or 12 years old and up. The child becomes able to reason not only about tangible objects and events, but also about hypothetically, psychologically, or abstract ones. Hence, it has the name formal operational stage, the period when individual can operate on forms or representation. Their abstract reasoning, adolescents develop the ability to think abstract concepts and hypothetically situations. Their problem solving, they can systematically plan and reason about potential outcomes. And that's all about the three stages of development habits. Therefore, all about the topic about the moral agent of developing virtues a habit. Therefore, they will conclude that by repeatedly practicing the various actions, we gradually cultivate the character traits that define a moral person. This process of habituation shape our moral compass and make ethically choice more natural. Also, developing virtues transform us into active agents of our own moral development. We become responsible for our action, capable of making choices that align with our values and contributing positively to the world. And again, that's all about the moral agent of developing virtue as a habit. Thank you for listening.